Let me introduce myself. My name is Alexey Savkin, and today we'll be talking about how to build a Balanced Scorecard with the BSC Designer tool. And as we promised, we'll keep the content of this webinar something like 50%, 50%. We'll be talking a lot about theory, and of course, we'll be talking a lot about how to do this theory in practice. A few organizational notes. When you will be watching this webinar, you will see, depending on your platform, you will see a live chat option. Normally it's somewhere on the right, on the bottom on the right. During this webinar, you can ask your questions, and you don't need to wait for pauses. You don't need to wait for questions and answers section. Just post your question, and I will be making some pauses to answer those questions. I think that's enough information to start the webinar right now. And the first slide that I had to prepare just a few hours before, it's actually about key pain points for the Balanced Scorecard and KPIs. When you was invited to the webinar, you had to fill in a short form with your name, email, and so on and so forth. And one of the questions was, what are your key pain points about the Balanced Scorecard and KPIs? And well, thank you a lot for those who answered. Actually, it's really valuable information for us, and as it helps to decide how things are working if you face some specific problems. And basically, that's what helped us to make this webinar a little bit more oriented on the content that you are interested in. So I think it's enough for the introduction. And just let me check that everything is working technically fine. I will ask my assistant to check out the sound. If sound is working, please confirm it. Okay, so I see that everything is fine. Well, actually, thank you Google for providing this nice platform, which is not limited by the number of participants, which actually will give us a lot of freedom to work with the participants of this webinar. So let's start working with these questions. I wanted to put this slide first because that's where the biggest problems actually are. And these problems, these short comments, actually those that you have left in those invitation forms, and they gave us a really interesting insights. And we did a similar survey about 2 years ago, and now I see there is some dynamic. And still the questions are very similar. So let's talk a little bit about these questions. The first series of questions is general understanding of the Balanced Scorecard. What is Balanced Scorecard? How to design it. One moment, please. I'd like to confirm that everyone can see the presentation slides. I'm not sure if the software that I'm using need to be adjusted. Yeah, I think it's need to be adjusted to the screen share. And yeah, there. I think now it's better. I would like to ask my assistant to check if now the slides are displayed properly. and that people actually start seeing the correct slides. Just give us a second, because there is a short delay in broadcasting. Okay, so I see that's working. So basically, the idea to show this slide was to explain the problems that people normally face with the balanced scorecard. So the first problem is that people need a general introduction to what balanced scorecard is, how to do it, how to solve all the problems that is involved, and we'll be talking about this. Then a big sector, as you can see on this slide, it's really big. It's about KPIs, how to choose proper KPIs, how to measure things that are not really measurable, how to combine those KPIs into the system. All this is needed to be answered, and that's where this webinar can help. Another two important topics are strategy and goals. So sometimes people are fine with KPIs, they're fine with the balanced scorecard, but it's not really clear what kind of strategy we want to formalize with the balanced scorecard. Now, smaller groups are there questions regarding implementation. I mean, introducing the balanced scorecard in practice, not just talking about theory, not just designing some models, but introducing it in practice. There are certain questions about the cascading. In other words, how to involve all the organization in the balanced scorecard process. And for sure, there is a number of questions regarding productivity, because it's really easy to come up with some key performance indicator, but it's not a surprise that one day this key performance indicator is going to stop working, or people are going to stop using these KPIs. And in this case, we're dealing with a productivity issue, and we need to know how to solve this issue as well. That's our plan for the webinar. And first of all, we'll deliver the things that we have promised. And it's an introduction to the balanced scorecard. We'll talk about the difference between KPI scorecard and strategy scorecard. I'll give you what is calling, people call now, life hacks about how to build a balanced scorecard quickly, specifically using MS Excel as a tool for automation. We'll talk about some examples, some templates, and for sure I will try to show you where our software can help. And specifically, we'll talk about such tools as strategy maps, how the software can deal with some complex KPIs, how the software can ensure easier collaboration, and for sure we'll have time for questions and answers. And I think it's a good idea to dedicate some time to the review of the what we called key pain points. Those questions that you mentioned when you signed up with this webinar. So that's our plan. And I see that the number of visitors is increasing, and that's fine. Now, let's start with the first question about introduction to the balanced scorecard. When we were trying to get people to attract your attention and to promote this webinar, we were promoting it to the people who already know about the balanced scorecard. They know some basics about the balanced scorecard. I'm sure you know that this concept was introduced by Professors Nodal and Kaplan, that's used by many companies across the world, and so on and so forth. What I would like to talk about right now is the introduction of the balanced scorecard, but in simple words. not using some business jargon, but using some basic language that we all understand. The Balanced Scorecard is about strategy execution. And talking about strategy, we have like 4 general steps to come up with a good strategy. First of all, we need to understand what we want to do. We need to define our strategy. But it's not enough, because if we just defined it, it is in some intangible form. And the next step that we normally want to do is to describe our strategy in some tangible way, like on the paper or in the presentation. And when it was described, we can left it as it and use it only for annual meetings. And that's not what we actually want to do. We want to implement it. We want a strategy to be working. We want to be able to give to have a sense of the strategy, and that's we can call implementation. And finally, when we have a sense of strategy, we know what it is, our team knows what it is, we need to execute it. We need to follow our strategic plan and execute the actions that we prepared beforehand. So 4 steps, I don't think that those steps can be universal ones, because if you ask another expert, and he or she will give you a different opinion about these steps, the content of the steps. But the idea is more or less so strategy is about these 4 steps. And what is a Balanced Scorecard in this case? Talking about the Balanced Scorecard, I think we can say that in some case it's about strategy definition. Why? Because it helps us a little bit to focus our thinking in a specific way. It helps us to come up with some hypotheses that we'll later be working with. For sure, the main role in strategy definition is your expertise. You will be using such tools like SWOT analysis, Pastel, and various other tools and frameworks to come up with some excellent ideas for your strategy. And I think this step is the most difficult one. And the Balanced Scorecard on this step can help us just a little bit by giving some directions to follow, some directions to think about. Like, for example, in SWOT, we have strengths, weaknesses, like this rectangle. And in Balanced Scorecard, we have these perspectives that also formalize our thinking a little bit. Now, the next step is where actually the Balanced Scorecard can help a lot, because after the definition step, we need to describe the strategy. Because if we will not describe it, it will be hard for us to keep this knowledge for a long time. It will be hard for us to explain our strategy to other people. We need to have some tangible description of the strategy. In this case, we use the 4 perspectives of the Balanced Scorecard: finance, customers, internal business process, education and growth. We use a visual tool, which is a strategy map, and the goals that we map on the strategy map will actually be linked by cause and effect links. So it's not just about drawing, it's not just about placing the goals into various perspectives. It's about linking them by cause and effect logic. And we also have strategic themes that also help us to describe strategy in some way. Later we'll show you how this is working in practice, and actually it will be making a little bit more sense. And now the strategy implementation. On this step, we want to make sure that the goals that we have are actually on the task list of our employees. We want to make sure that people are working towards achieving these goals. We want to see the progress. We want to be able to control that we are on the right track or not. And of course, we need to control, we need to map all our ideas related to this map. In other words, we need to map some initiatives, what we're going to do to improve the value of this KPI, or what we're going to do to achieve this goal, what specifically we're going to do. These are initiatives. For example, we can have a goal like increase profit, yeah, and we can have we can have an indicator which might be let's say sales, monthly sales. And the question is, how are we going to increase these sales? We have monthly sales as an indicator, and we have a target to increase monthly sales, let's say by 10%. But how we're going to do this? That's a question. There's a question that we need to answer in the supporting documentation of our scorecard or in the initiatives. And in this case, we can introduce some marketing program. In this case, we can optimize some lead generation model, something like that. And that's where we need to talk about this. Now, what's more we can say about implementation of the strategy. We need to implement the strategy not only for the top managers, because if we will do this for the top managers only, we cannot expect that other people on our team will be able to follow this strategy. So that's what is called, what is often called cascading. So we actually take our business goals and we cascade them to the other levels in our organization. That's implementation. Strategy execution. So basically, that's working towards these goals. It's executing the plan that we have in mind. That's following the initiatives that we suggested. On this stage, the Balanced Scorecard will help us because we'll be able to use the indicators that will link to the business goals to make sure that we are actually moving in the right direction. So if we do something wrong, we will find this out very soon. Now, when people hear the word Balanced Scorecard, most of the people think that the Balanced Scorecard is about KPIs, key performance indicator, is about balancing these key performance indicators. Actually, as you can see, the KPIs are an important part of the Balanced Scorecard, but it's not the main one. And I would give an estimation that the Balanced Scorecard is just 20% about the key performance indicators. So in the most cases, you can start without good key performance indicators, but you need to start with good business goals. You can find key performance indicators later, but without good business goals, I would not recommend to start. That's actually the answer to the question: what is the difference between a KPI scorecard and strategy scorecard? The strategy scorecard describes all these three steps: definition, description, implementation, and execution of strategy. And KPI scorecard is just this small part where we'll talk about key performance indicators, nothing more. No strategy map, no cause and effect, no approaches to the cascading. That's the difference. Now, I'd like to give some useful links that you might want to use when scorecard in your organization. The first is the presentation, PowerPoint slides about Balanced Scorecard in general. There you will find some statistics, some facts about the implementation of the Balanced Scorecard, how it was successful, and so on and so forth. To find it, you need to go here. I will show you right now. you need to go to our website, main website, bscdesigner.com. You need to go to the download section, scroll down, and you'll find this. I need to present BSC Designer to my team. Do you have some slides that I can use? Yes, we have. And actually, you can click on this. You can click on this link. Sorry, I forgot to change the. I think it's visible. To change the screen that is broadcasting. Okay. So let's once more, bscdesigner.com, download section, and then you go to scroll down, and here you have, I need to present BSC Designer to my team. And here you have a link to download, and you'll find there, I think, a lot of slides that will support you in a really tough task when you need to promote the idea of the balanced scorecard to your team. Now, another thing that you might find really useful in this stage are these examples. Again, I will switch to browser to show how you can find it. You can go to our website, bscdesigner.com, and here you have some top menu. In this top menu, you have balanced scorecard theory plus examples. That's what you need. You click examples, and here you'll find, for now we have 15 examples. So what it is about, you have some screenshots here, and you open the project in BSC Designer Online. I will show you. And you can also open this article that explains how the scorecard was designed for this specific case. So for example, this is an executive scorecard, and you see that the logic that we use to design these various scorecards. This is just as a template that you can use to design your own scorecards. So basically, you have here some KPIs to start. You have here some business goals. You have here an example of strategy map, an example of a dashboard. This is just an example, but you can use it. You put it here. You can use it as a template to start your own project. So you don't have to start from scratch. You use some examples that you can start, and you don't need to pay for this. Yeah, you can just copy and paste it if you want. And if you create a free trial account, you can use it for 30 days without paying anything. And I will share with you a short hack how to use it for a longer time. So the examples, we have some general for CEO, customer service, some marketing, HR, informational technologies, sales, and some examples for the business domains like hotel balance scorecard, energy production, dental practice, some medical services will like it, scorecard for startup company, non-profit balance scorecard, general scorecard for training project, content marketing, and a few more scorecards for HR and for employee engagement. As you can see, social metrics shows us that it's really popular. Now, on the same example pages, you'll find some useful information. You'll find some bad practices, not best practices, but bad practices. And if you will scroll down, this is also really interesting if you think about implementation of the balance scorecard, about the cascading. Have a look at these screenshots and, well, click to read more in this article about the different approaches to the cascading of the balance scorecard. Now, what I wanted to show you is that you have here this screenshot with this video. Follow this video. It's about, I think, 40 minutes or 1 hour. We'll do will show step by step how one of the examples above was created, how one of the balanced scorecard above was created. So actually we'll pass through all the steps needed to design a good balanced scorecard, and you will see all the logic. So if you need more details, just check out this video here. I think you'll find it very useful. Now, let's get back to the next question. Well, I have already explained this a little bit. What is the difference between a KPI scorecard and balanced scorecard? And I like this diagram to show the difference. What we have on the top is our vision, where the company want to go, where the company want to be. Vision, mission, that things. Then, how are you going to get to this vision? There's a question of strategy. And what specific objectives, strategic and operational, should we follow in order to execute this strategy? This is as a goals. And what are the key factors of success? What are the key aspects that influence the success, key success factors? And these key success factors are linked to their quantitative representation, to the KPIs. So that's where we build key performance indicators, metric measures, these things, and we'll build scorecard and dashboards. And the end of this model, the most important part, is the action. So from vision, we dig down into the details, vision, strategy, goals, key success factors, KPIs, actions. Now, the KPI scorecard is the one that is working only on this level, on the level of KPIs. The strategy scorecard is the one that works on all these levels. So this is a simple explanation of what is the difference. I'd recommend for you to go for the strategy scorecard, because balanced scorecard is synonymous to the strategy scorecard. Because with the strategy scorecard or with the balanced scorecard, you have all these aspects covered. That's what is recommended. Now, I'd like to share the promised hack about how to build a balanced scorecard or KPI scorecard in MS Excel. Actually, MS Excel is one of the most popular tools for many things, including for things related to the key performance indicators. And for the BSC Designer, we see often that people are coming from MS Excel and are switching to our BSC Designer. But it's never possible to stop using Excel or to understand this. And that's why in the software, in our software, you have a possibility to import your data from MS Excel, from spreadsheets, and to export your data back there. That's really an interesting feature. So let me show you the hack how to do this. First of all, you will need to sign up with a free trial account with BSC Designer online, or you can download BSC Designer Pro for Windows. Yeah, you have this download form. It's free, 30-day functionality without any limitations. We don't ask for things like credit card, nothing special. You just fill in a short form and you have a downloading link. And well, with cloud-based software, you don't need to install anything. Just create your account. And with a BSC Designer Pro, you just download it and you have it ready in 2 minutes. No need to install some databases, these functions. No, just 2 minutes and you have it. I will show you how to do this with cloud-based software. So the first thing you need to do is to log in. I have an account, so I'm just log in and have taken some of the examples that we have on our website. For example, marketing or customer service. And you want to create a scorecard from it. I think I have marketing here. You can use the template that we have, or you can create a new project start from scratch or from 4 perspectives and start from your project. But I think it's more interesting to start with a template. So basically, you need to create your project and do one simple thing. Which one we have? Yeah, marketing or sales or SEO marketing. Let's say. So again, what we have here: business goals. Some examples. There is no need that you focus these specific goals. You can create your own goals. We have here some key performance indicators. Normally, most companies stay with these indicators more or less because these indicators are, I don't want to say industry standards, but most of the companies use these indicators or similar ones. So the examples that we have here, you will find the indicators that are really, let's say they have 2 important features. They are used in many companies, and they're actually linked to the performance results. So real key performance indicators, because there are a lot of indicators that are called KPIs, but they're actually not. So we try to collect key performance indicators, and we try to think about the real examples of strategies that a real company might face. For example, if you check out for customer service, you'll see that we have some real examples, just to give you an idea about where you can move on with these examples. So Excel, let's get back to it. You have business goals, KPI strategy map, and imagine that here on the KPI tab, you created the KPIs that you want to have on your scorecard. Well, in the software, you can create many levels, a lot of things. You can add values. You can do a lot of things like this. And now the hack. You can actually go to use this hack, you need to go to this tools menu, and you just need to, well, it's another hack. Yeah, you need to go to report menu, and you need to use this option, export to Excel. And actually, this scorecard will be exported to MS Excel, and you will be able to see all your indicators from this scorecard there in Excel. And moreover, you will have all the formulas, all the calculations for the scorecards ready to use. So if you forgot about the software, you can switch to Excel and just use this hack to prepare some KPIs and then move to Excel to manage with them, to add some data and so on and so forth. That's a possibility. Yeah, and by the way, the first hack that I wanted to show is that you can import data for your indicators, and you can import them from MS Excel document as well. So these are the possibilities. What are the disadvantages? There are some disadvantages, unfortunately. One of the disadvantages approach or having a scorecard or KPI scorecard in your MS Excel document is that this scorecard will be really hard to maintain. Imagine that you need to create a new KPI, add a new indicator. Relatively easy task. Hopefully your formulas won't be broken. Imagine that you need to add a different level to your scorecard. It's a little bit more tricky, but you can find some Excel gurus that will do this for you. Imagine that you need to share a scorecard, and it's not just about sending a whole document to your colleagues. You want to share only specific indicators. So it's more a difficult task. And imagine that you want to have not a KPI scorecard, but a strategy scorecard. So one that covers all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all these 6 steps. It means that in Excel, you will need to have all your KPIs, and then you will need to find some tool to keep your strategy map as well. In this case, well, we all use Office software. In this case, people tend to switch to MS PowerPoint. What are the results? The strategy map in this case normally looks nice, but when it comes to a minor change, it appears that it's really hard to do this. So people are focusing a lot on the design and not on the content. The bottom end is that people end up with reviewing their scorecards and reviewing their strategy maps once a year on annual meetings. And this doesn't make any significant impact on the business. So if you choose the tool, make sure that you use a professional one, not just the first one that you have. Okay, so we talked about the second point about the building scorecard and MS Excel, and I do recommend for you to follow my advice about just trying this hack to create some. Actually, I will show it now. To create some blank document here and just go to KPIs to start creating your indicators. Once you're ready, you can export it to the Excel. And that's it. You have a scorecard on Excel. It will take you just a few minutes. The problem is that it will be clear that it's not really easy to maintain. So, yeah, for my opinion, those who are small business owners, like up to 20 people, and those companies that just prototyping the Balanced Scorecard, in this case, the Excel might be a really good solution because you already have it, you already know how to use it. Just play with some data, you add new data, you update, you see how it's working. Yeah, on this stage, it might be working. But then I do recommend to switch you to some professional software. Not necessarily ours, but I hope you will consider BSC Designer as well. It's one of the most recognized tools. And that's the idea. And actually, talking about the BSC Designer, you have an access to a freeware version of BSC Designer as well. Not just a trial, but a BSC Designer Lite, which is a freeware edition. It doesn't have all the features of the Pro version, doesn't have all the features of the cloud-based version, but there you will be able to work with KPIs, there you will be able to play with your prototype a little bit. That's where I do recommend for you to start. Now, let's get back to the key pain points about the Balanced Scorecard, and I will pass through them. You will certainly see your key pain points that you mentioned. If unfortunately, I was not able to understand all of them, the real meaning of all of them. So I think about 10% I wasn't sure what your comments mean. So you won't find it here, but most of them are here. So let's pass through them. Understanding of the Balanced Scorecard. I think we have talked about this, and the most important is that Balanced Scorecard is a strategy scorecard. It's about description of the strategy. It's about implementation and execution of the strategy. You need to clearly understand the difference between the strategy scorecard or Balanced Scorecard, more or less the same things, and the KPI scorecard. Building a Balanced Scorecard for organization from scratch. I'd recommend to watch the video that I mentioned in the examples, where we actually pass through where we have it on the bottom, where we pass through all the steps for building the Balanced Scorecard for, in that case, it was a customer support business unit from scratch. So if you need like 100% guide, I do recommend to check it there. Now, well, do it by myself. Balanced Scorecard for dummy, for beginners, to begin doing it. I think the direction is clear, and just follow this direction. To begin, where to start? Actually, these are two good questions. With a balanced scorecard, I would recommend to start with your strategy. Start thinking about what your business is about, where you want to be, why you want to go there, what prevented you from going there. Basically, the strategy is about three things. First of all, you need to understand what challenge you are dealing with. Then you need to understand why you are dealing with this challenge. And then you need to understand how you're going to solve this challenge. If you have these three components, then we can say that there is a strategy, and there is a good strategy. One thing that I can recommend in this concern is to go to a website and to use, I think for strategic it will come up. Yeah, you have here an article which is called "You Are Doing It Wrong: Strategic with versus Operational Goals." Again, a lot of shares in. So that's as an explanation of the strategic and operational goals. And one of the most important difference between strategic and operational goals is that, let's say, operational goals are related to doing what you was doing before and trying to do it a little bit better. Yeah, what is called improving on best practices. While the strategic goal is the goal that's supposed to change your business, supposed to change the way you do business. So I do recommend for you to read this article also to get an idea about the difference. It's not that simple. Now, general understanding. The goals: creating strategic plan, objective setting, description of the strategic goals, and KPI strategy maps. In this sense, you can do one important thing. You can use the strategy map, and you can start creating your goals. The main idea here is that the goals that you create should follow a strict logic. They need to be connected to each other, and they need to be support each other. Not connected, it's better to say support each other. You put, let's say now we have a blank strategy map just to show you have some financial goals like increase costs, increase profits, sorry. Have it on a strategy map. Yeah. And then the next question you need to ask is what you need to give to your customers, what your customers want from you that will allow you to increase your profits. I don't know what you need to do. You know it better. You're expert about your business. Do a better product, I think, in most cases. Yeah. And to do this, what you need to change about your business? What was preventing you from doing a better product? Yeah. Well, probably you need to learn something about your customers, learn more about their needs. Probably you need to optimize some of your processes. That's the idea. And here you can map your goals related to learning. Now you have these goals. You can have more goals. Like, for example, for customers, it's not just about improving products. Normally, it's about improving service as well. Yeah, so you can have more goals. And then you use in this tool, you can use it in whatever software you want. But again, if you have a free trial account, why not to do it here? You can use links, add a cause and effect connection. Yes, you can use these links to show how the cause and effect logic is working on your strategy map. And One thing that you can do to make it a little bit more visually appealing is to use business strategic themes. For example, improving service, probably it's related to operational excellence. Doing a better product, probably it's related to product leadership strategic theme. You go back to strategy map and you see that the colors has changed, and you have here in the legend the explanation of what it was about. So in this way, you build the strategy map. It should not be really detailed. If you see that you have here like 20 goals, you're doing something wrong. You should not convert it into the list of things to do. Don't do this. What you can do to avoid this, do a better product. For example, do a better product. How are you going to do this? So normally people try to put their, like, we'll change the interface, we'll create a new website. You have these commands. Create a website, say change graphical user interface, for testing. For example, I'm thinking about in the software domain. You did this, and I'm refreshing my map to see it, to make sure it's working back. And I have all my initiatives here below. Probably I can also change the weight, the width of this goal, so it will look nicer. Yeah. If I don't want to have all these initiatives, but I want to have them listed here, I can, let's say I don't want to see testing and I don't want to see website. Just save, go back, and I see just this one. So the magic about strategy map, particularly the magic about doing the software, doing the strategy map with this software, that it saves you a lot from difficulties related to the design. It helps you to design your strategy map, and anytime you can click export button and have it printed, send it by email, or give other people access to this account. Now, I think that's answers the questions regarding the goals, the objectives. Actually, there is no difference between goals and objectives. Objectives, people tend to call objectives a little bit the goals that are more specifically defined. Yeah, and creating strategic plan. What is strategic plan? I think that the strategy map is a much better strategic plan than a document, paper document. And actually, one important thing, anyway, when you will be designing this, you'll find out that there are some ideas that don't fit this map. You don't have space. You want to keep this one page, and there are ideas that won't fit into this one-page diagram. It's normal to have a supporting documentation where you will explain what stands behind these goals, what were the reasons why you chose these goals, what probably some more specific action plan. And again, in the software, there is a possibility to link some external document to the goal. If you need to work more in the direction of classical plan, it's not a project management software. Yeah, it's a strategy execution software. But again, you can assign this budgeted duration for each goal, and later you can create a report that will calculate for you the cost to execute your strategy to the strategy map. So I think I have answered these questions. I have this duplicate. I'm not sure if it's real duplicate or not. I hope I haven't missed anything. Now, KPIs. That's the best part. Choosing KPIs, selecting proper KPIs, measurement indicators, how to design KPIs, build sustainable KPIs, not just KPIs that work one time, but sustainable KPIs. Reporting problems for managing KPIs, how to manage KPIs, how to measure the non-countable, because it's obvious how to measure sales, but what about something that we cannot count? I will get back to this question right now. Designing KPIs, establishing all the scenarios. but in project management performance. For the KPIs, I would like to recommend our system. It's a free system, so anyone can use it. And let me find it. I think it's here. Yeah, so you can locate it here. KPIs how to plus examples, and you can use this button. Find a KPI for. This system is about this screenshot, and you can actually have them on slide share that explain how to use this system. You can download a template, 2-page template that you can use to pass through specific steps, actually 10 steps, to come up with KPIs for your business. And you will find there are some example of how we try this system with certain KPIs. So just give it a try, download it, some questions. And if you want to go into the more details, if you want to get specific training on this, you have this training here. Yeah, this training for KPIs and certification. This training is on a paid basis, so you might want to do this as a way to increase your skills, to get a certification. And I think it's quite long, so there is a part that is divided into different videos about what we call KPIs essentials. It was 1 hour, 40 minutes length, several videos. Then you have the proper KPI system, which is about 1 hour. And then we talk about a really important thing, which is KPI performance measurement culture. One thing that I would recommend to have in mind, again, you can find an article about this topic on our website. Yeah, I forgot to mention, to find this training that I mentioned, you need to check training, and you have here KPI training and certification. It's a training for the KPIs. One thing that, let's say, how the consultants say, if you want to remember just one thing about KPIs, remember this one. It's about the KPIs misuse. It was based on a recent case with this article was based on a recent case with Wells Fargo, where unfortunately about 5,000 employees were involved in something, in opening some fake accounts. So the idea is that the bank was had an indicator to motivate people to open more accounts, and there was some incentive linked to this indicator. And it appears that instead of opening real accounts, really giving customers the real support, the bank was the employees were opening fake accounts. And actually, it's a really often case, and this one was on New York Times in September. And you will find in this article, you will find this nice infographic that actually explains what you need to do. I think one of the most important things to do about your KPIs. In short, when you think about KPI, think about 3 things. First of all is how you're measuring the performance results. For example, sales. Sales is a typical performance results. Now, another thing that you need to have in mind, that you need to understand, is how you what you're going to do to increase this, in this case, sales, the performance driver indicator. For example, you will make more cold calls, you'll make more social media marketing, something like this. And the third indicator is an indicator related to the quality or to the value that you create. How to make sure that the performance results that you achieve are actually good ones. With sales, it's more or less clear. You have more sales, and that's fine normally. But who knows? who knows, probably in sometime you will have a lot of complaints from these people because they were sold something that the product does not do. Yeah, so that's the quality. And you always need to consider these three aspects. And of course, you need to take all this into account with, you need to take into account business context, what business goals stand behind these KPIs. And having all these, don't forget about action. The most important is action. So check out this infographic or the whole article. And I think it will answer the most of the questions regarding how to come up with KPIs and, of course, the system. Find the KPI for the system. It's free for use. You can download the template for free. This system will explain how to come up with KPIs and actually will help you to stay on the right track with the KPIs. And the question that I wanted to answer about the measuring something that is not possible to count. Yeah, we have an article called "The Difference Between Quantification, Measure Metrics, and KPI." Oof, a lot of social stress. Now, the idea is that if you need to measure something that is hard to quantify, hard to measure, that the first thing that you need to do is to quantify this. You need to find the way to quantify this. And don't tell me that it's not possible. Actually, on the one conference, we were talking to Gilp, known for some metrics related to the software. And one of the questions was, what can you quantify? So he was quantifying something related to music. And he also mentioned that he could quantify love. And it's not the question of if it's possible. It's possible. Just find a way to give some metrics. So another question is how good this quantification is. Yeah, how good how good the quantification reflects the idea about the real world. Normally, that's where the problem is. But it's possible to quantify everything. And I think we also had an article by, I'm not sure I will be able to find it right now. It was about quantification. Yeah, actually several articles. So how to track soft skills like leadership. And another article was written by Professor Tumarkin about metrics to evaluate entrepreneur and management skills. So believe me, that's not what really easy to but actually in this article you will learn some metrics and you will see some examples about how to do this. Okay, by the way, if you have some questions, just prepare them in chat and you can write them in chat, or if you're more comfortable, you can contact us later with your questions. So I think we're done with KPIs. Now, the questions about implementation. Design, implement, and use Balanced Scorecard as which can be measured. I think the question is more, well, probably to the calculation. I'm not sure. For the calculation, we have, yeah, the idea is that the scorecard that exists need to be calculated. And I will give two answers. One answer is you can go to this article called Scorecard and KPIs 101, where you will see how the calculations can be done, what formulas can be used, so prepare for some formulas, yeah, something like this. And the simple way to go this is to go to the BSC Designer Online or to BSC Designer Pro and just play with the values here. So actually the software, for example, in this case, use this scale from 0 to 30 and the value 23 to calculate the performance of this indicator and to calculate the performance of this container, and finally to calculate the performance of this scorecard. And it's not that easy. You can actually take into account the weight of the indicator. For example, let's just play with some data. Yeah, I have changed the number of subscribers almost to 0. No, not that low. And now you see that the performance of this indicator is just 2.5%. And how the performance of this container is calculated. Now it's calculated as an average of the performance of the indicators here. But what I can do, I can tell to the software that, let's say, customer database is way more important than other indicators. And let's see what happened. The performance changes. So the idea is that for the calculation of indicators, we're not just taking into account the value of the indicator, we're also taking into account the weight of this indicator. And that's where the software can help to calculate on this. So we calculate the performance for the group, and then we calculate the performance for the whole scorecard. So that's where you can probably do this in Excel, using the hacks that I showed you before, but it will be really tough task to do this. So talking about the calculation, I would recommend to use some of the software. Hope you will use BSC Designer. Implementation. Introducing department, I think it's more or less covered. A few questions related to implementation, like introducing it in our organization and identifying department KPI and aligning it with BSC. It's more related to the cascading. So what the cascading is about. The cascading is about linking to I'm trying to find a picture. The cascading is about linking to scorecards, like in this picture, which is each other. And the most important part of the cascading is that you do it by business goals. You're not doing it by indicators. You cannot just take one indicator, like increase sales by 15%, and tell to your lower level department, I don't know, marketing or sales, just do it, increase it. It's not that simple. You need to formalize your strategy, your goals, and to cascade, you need to focus on your goals. So the idea is that the goals that you have on your CEO strategy scorecard should be linked to the goals on your, let's say, marketing scorecard. And well, the software actually allows to do this. You have here some link documents, and I can link to the marketing scorecard. And okay. Later, I can use it. My goal here can be contributed. I don't know what I go ahead here to contributed by some goal from marketing scorecard. Just a visual picture, but this visual picture helps us a lot. Now, you can see that above this improve systems goals, I have this goal from marketing scorecard. So I know more or less how these goals are related. This one is one approach to the cascading. When you do this, you might want to link the KPIs as well. And you can also do this. You can create a KPI by imported indicator from another scorecard. For example, here I have marketing scorecard, and I can take some indicator from it and get it here on my scorecard. It's cascading by the KPIs. Again, be really careful with this. In the most cases, you need to come up with different KPIs, and probably some of the part of these KPIs on lower levels will be powered by other KPIs, but normally they're independent. But again, the software allows you to link different projects from different levels, because here I have here I have projects from actually different levels. Yeah, so I have CEO, I have marketing, I can create more levels here. So the idea is that you can link these projects. And yeah, by the way, for the indicators, when you have your indicators, you can visualize them on the scorecard. For example, I have here this goal, achieve stakeholders' goals. And this goal is linked to this indicator. So that's about the questions about the alignment between KPIs and business goals. I can do it by this. I select this goal and just align with some indicator. That's it. Go back here, and I see that I have more goals, more indicators aligned with this goal. And I can also choose the way I want to see it. Perceive system quality. I, for example, want to see a stoplight color, and I want to see this gauge indicator. And I can do this. I can change this, and that's another way to get your indicators on your strategy map. You don't have to see your indicators here only. What you can do, you can align your indicators with your business goals, and you can see them on the strategy map as well. I think it's really nice. What's more about cascading? Applicating worldwide, company-wide, making it for individuals and set up of the department. I think I explained the nuances about this, and I think that the most important idea is not to cascade by the indicators. Don't start with this. Start with the cascading by business goals, and naturally you will have some good indicators on each level. So it's not just about mathematically split indicators into different parts and then pray that everything will fine. No, it doesn't work this way. Technically, you have the software that will support you on this way, and sometimes yes, you can. Sometimes you do cascading by indicators, and the software will support you on this way. Finally, we have productivity pain points. Well, I have sorted them according to my perception of them into this section. High workload with KPIs. I think it was supposed maintenance with the maintenance of the KPIs. Making following of the KPIs versus informational system info. People question and involving the team. Working with dynamic data. So basically, the questions of productivity can be solved, can be divided into the technical ones and into the motivational ones. For the technical ones, if you can, you should automate your indicators. For example, you can in BSC Designer Online or in Pro, you can link to a database. And you can link to a database and fetch data automatically from there. This is a way to automatize this. Another way that sometimes people say that it's hard to keep an eye on the KPIs. You need to update them monthly, and you need to remember about this. People forget, team forget, and we forget, and nothing is wrong working. To avoid this, in the software you have KPI update interval. You can set it up to, let's say, weekly, monthly, whatever you need. And the calendar here will be changing respectively. And what you can do, you can create an alert. And this alert can be about update interval time. You can set a notification to employee a few days before the required update date, and your employee will be able to update an indicator on time. You can also create another alert, another notification after the update date. So if the indicator was not updated, you will have a manager, you will have a notification that something is wrong and the indicator was not updated. So the software can help you with this. You can also have a notification about values that are in the red zone, about new initiatives added. A lot of features that will help you to automate this. Finally, the analysis tab here will help you to sort out your indicators a little bit. You'll be able to find the best performing and worst performing forecast indicators. That things also were very useful. So that was the first problem about their productivity. Another problem related to productivity cannot be solved on, let's say, technically. This problem is related to cultural aspect of KPIs. What is a culture actually? The culture is a certain set of patterns, habits, if you want, that people follow to in order to do their business. So it's kind of typical steps, typical patterns that people use every day. So normally the problem is not with the technical part. The problem is with the cultural part, how people think about KPIs. For example, it's very typical pitfall with a KPI that if KPI is in the red zone for some reason, then normally it's a reason to fire someone, and it's not a good approach, because in this case people will find all possible ways to keep the indicators in the green zone. And I'm sure these ways to keep the indicators in the green zone will certainly harm your business, because there are a lot of ways to game the system. Yeah, like we're talking before about the KPIs misuse. So before doing some good KPIs, before doing some good strategy map, make sure that you have a good culture in your company, performance measurement culture. Make sure people are comfortable about discussing your indicators, because the indicators are not the goal. You don't need to measure. You need to establish a certain discussion process about what your company is doing, how we're going to achieve this, how the indicators help. That's the idea of the KPIs, not to blame someone. And I have opened this because in this training, one of the important blocks was about building a performance measurement culture. If you want to learn more about this, I do recommend for you to check out this training and to send someone from your organization to this training. So I think we have done with the main part. And I am looking for your questions. If you have some, let me change to this window. If you have some, just I have here. Yeah, if you have some, just use the chat option to ask your questions. I will open this. Yeah, and while if there are some questions, later, if you will come up with some of them, you can go to our website, customer support, and use this contact form. And also, yeah, there's a contact form. Yeah, is this one below. And also, if you want to contact me directly, you are welcome to connect with me via LinkedIn. And actually, I post updates about the articles that we publish, and I hope you'll find these articles very useful. And now I'd like to give a few minutes for everyone to formulate their questions. Feel free to write them in chat, or feel free to send your questions via the contact form later after this webinar. Okay, so I will start with answers to the questions. Not sure that everyone see the chart that I have, so I will read the questions. And one of them was actually inspired by the recent article. It's about automating all the paper scorecard. I mean, scorecard on the paper. How do we automate the scorecard that was created by the consultants? And screenshot here. The recommendation. I don't want to share the screenshot that was sent because I'm not sure I have permission. So the screenshot was something like where it is, something like this. Yeah, so it's our screenshot, so I'm comfortable sharing it. And the idea was that when people have a scorecard like this on the paper designed by consultants, how to automate this with the software. Actually, we have recently created a video about this, an example section. One of the bad practices, we're talking about paper version only. And you'll find a video that explains how to take this scorecard. This is actually a good scorecard with a representation on paper, but it has a disadvantage because it's really hard to maintain, it's really hard to update, and some other disadvantages we discuss. So I do recommend to check this video to learn more about how to move this scorecard. Well, another question. Well, thank you for asking this question. Actually, it's about pricing, and we don't hide our prices. You can go to pricing here in the pricing section, and you can play with this price calculator. So, for example, for BSC Designer Professional, I have not shown it. It's very similar to this one that we saw, to the online, but the Professional is working on Windows only. You need to choose a number of licenses, and you need to choose if you want a permanent license, which will be cost more, but it includes, you can use it for a long time. And if you keep it, if you don't buy updates, you just use the old version for the whole time. For sure, it's recommended to buy updates, and in this case, the subscription works better. The best price you'll have it if you'll choose annual billing. So it will be something like 39.95 per month. And for the BSC Designer Online, you have the choice between monthly, quarterly, annual billing, and monthly starts for $40 per month, and annual is like $30 per month. All view-only users are for free. All product training, technical support, updates are included. There is also a knowledge base where we publish some videos, some useful insights for about the Balanced Scorecard, about the KPIs. And when you have to BSC Designer Online, you have an active license for BSC Designer Pro, you have a free access to this knowledge base included. And finally, if you need to go through the detailed training about the Balanced Scorecard, you have here options that explain what the training is, what are the steps, if you want to take some certification, and so on and so forth. So this is one training that you might want to take, and another one is related to KPI training and certifications that we have mentioned several times today. And one training product, it's really short. It's like 1 hour training. We call it Strategy Scorecard Fast Track. That includes 50 minutes long video, and it includes 5 follow-up questions. Includes some bonuses. It costs just $50, $49.90. And it's really good for those who want to get started with the Balanced Scorecard really quickly without reading a lot of books, without attending an expensive training. You will have a very concentrated information on the topic. And I hope you will like it as well. So I don't see if there are any other questions. I think I have answered all of them. So thank you very much for your attention, and hope to see you among the users of BSC Designer, and hope you liked the webinar that we have today. Thank you very much, and have a good day.